Shalom, shalom. I wanted to speak real quick on this Pastor Dowell situation because I've seen a lot of videos, heard a lot of commentary, a lot of reactions to this thing. Been wanting to speak on this for a couple of weeks, a few weeks now. Of course, I wanted to wait until I had enough information, um, and I still don't have enough or all of the information, and that's going to be the kind of the point of my video. But I just want to preface it by saying that a I am a traditionally trained journalist, so for me, it's always important to make sure I get all of the facts straight before I rush to any conclusion or judgment or anything like that. And that's not what we've been doing in Israel with this Pastor Dow situation. I mean, almost immediately, as soon as Pastor Rufus's first video about this situation dropped, I mean, everybody like people jumped on him like a wildfire, and I'll go on the record and say, Ringo was probably the first and the loudest to actually go into this whole saga and uh, doing the work he's doing. And we will call it a work because it is a situation that bears further discussion. And I won't get into all the specifics. Like I said, I don't know everything that happened, everything that went down. I am not a Straightway Truth member. I have had I have wanted to join in the past. I have had interest in Straightway for a long time, especially when Elder Gabir Baja Miller joined, and he started doing a lot of content and giving testimonies about his awakening. Just to, I'm a Packer fan, so that's kind of how that. I like I said, I had Straightway interest in Straightway before that, but I was really interested after he joined, and I started learning more about what Pastor Dow was doing over there. Ended up finding out it wasn't really for me. I'm not into the whole baptism thing. We have our core beliefs are wildly different, so it is what it is. But I am a fan of what he has done over at that ministry and in his compound. I know he has one out in, I think, Ohio, and then I know this one in Georgia, which is where the center of the controversy that we're discussing today ended up sprouting from. So, just a quick kind of recap for those who aren't aware. Pastor Rufus was ousted from Straightway, Georgia, and he was given 30 days to basically gather his belongings and get off the land. And Pastor Rufus has been at Straightway for 14 years. So, naturally, that sparked a lot of concern from those in the Israelite community, you know, because there are a lot of us talking about this communal living idea right now, and I personally think that is the way to go. Communal living, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the way, um, with the way Straightway works in terms of the structure of their you know what they're doing. Everybody kind of chips in, and all the funds that they raise go toward doing more building. They build buildings for people to stay in, and then they it's a debt free approach. They don't use any debt, so everybody chips in. The money is used to build houses and buildings, and um, I know they do a lot of gardening and farming, so there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just like how the Amish do it, which nobody has a problem with the way the Amish decide to run their community, which is everybody is kind of working as a collective and um, living really simply, a very simple lifestyle. So the problem with that is if you don't have proper leadership, if you don't have honest intentions, if the leadership is not serving the interests of the people, you know, if the leader is getting big-headed and puffy-headed and starting to dictate and make it more of a dictatorship, then it's like that's what you don't want, and that's not what the Amish do. And I'm not saying that the Amish, that the way they do it is perfect, and that I don't know, but I'll tell you what I do know is I don't see the Amish having these kinds of issues. I don't hear these beasts coming out of the Amish community like that. Um, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that many people in Israel are. I mean, the issues is deeply rooted in self idolatry, but I might have to go into that in another video. I don't want to make this one too long. But you get a charismatic leader, and that's usually how it starts when you start talking about like a cult, right? And a lot of people calling Straightway a cult, but let's be real. Pastor Dowell is a charismatic leader, but Pastor Dowell is also a very knowledgeable leader. He wouldn't have been able to build the compounds he did without knowing something, right? Pastor Dowell is a very knowledgeable man. I was happy to hear on New Breed stream yesterday that he he's open to learning from anybody who has anything to do with Straightway, maybe even Pastor Dowell himself, because you can't deny that Pastor Dowell knows what he's talking about when it comes to building um, an off-grid community on a large scale. We've seen it. The proof is in the pudding, and that's never been in contention. What's in contention now is whether the spirit that he has on him now. And of course, at some point, I definitely believe that Pastor Dow, his intentions have been good, and I do still believe that his intentions are in the right spot. But a lot of people start to sing your praises, give you your flowers, and I can see how somebody could get kind of big headed and start to think that they can do no wrong. So, but we're kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves on that note, because the thing about the Pastor Rufus situation, it wasn't just like, oh, Pastor Rufus came up against, and this from what I understand. Like I said, I haven't seen all the videos. I don't have all of the facts and details. I've never kind of been in contact with anyone from Straightway. So this is all just kind of conjecture and going based on things I've seen. But um, what I do know clearly is that this was not just Pastor Dow having taken something out on Pastor Rufus, something personal, and him wanting Pastor Rufus gone because he went up against Pastor Dow and didn't do something Pastor Dow wanted him to do. Whatever. It wasn't like that, because I saw a video of Pastor Dow and his entire congregation, and he opened the floor to people who are actually at Straightway, Georgia, and the people who are actually working with Pastor Rufus. I don't want to say under, with Pastor Rufus, on building that land out. And they all raised some very valid concerns, very interesting concerns. They made some interesting points. Pastor Rufus apparently was doing. A lot of them didn't like that his family was eating better than everyone else's. They were eating steaks and all that kind of stuff while they were eating ramen type stuff. Pastor Rufus was apparently running a shoe business or buying a bunch of Jordans or shoes for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that. But basically, what it boils down to is a lot of people thought that Pastor Rufus was not pulling his weight for the amount of privilege that he had among, in his lofty position within that organization. But I don't know the full details. Apparently, this was like a long-standing kind of issue with Pastor Rufus. This, like, mind you, all of this is coming from people who are actually working with Pastor Rufus at Straightway, and so I want to emphasize that because, and I'll just name drop. I've seen a lot. Ringo TV has by far been the loudest on this issue, and Ringo TV, he's done a lot of work. We'll call it work to dig up a lot of the different testimonies and try to piece this story together. But I think Ringo's being a little too hasty, and I think that you know yeah, I mean, he was definitely too hasty to jump on this story because, I mean, I think it was like right when the story broke, and there were a lot of assumptions made, and I'm not going to say a lot of other funny stuff hasn't been made apparent on Pastor Dow's side in terms of the things he's been doing, which is, apparently there's some adultery concerns and whatever, man. I don't know, whatever they got going on at Straightway, that's their business. Um, but I think my point today is that we should not be running a witch hunt before we have gathered all the facts and the details. And that's exactly what happened with this Pastor Dow situation. That's what the Most High is showing me. He has compelled me to put this message out there for those who are quick to judge a matter before hearing everything about the matter from all sides, and weighing it carefully um, and all of that. But what I've seen is more of a witch hunt, and a lot of it seems to be, I don't know, personal in nature. I'm not going to speculate on that end either because I don't know either gentleman. What I do know is that, uh, you know, I appreciate what Ringo is trying to do, which is He is trying to. Um, he's basically trying to look out one. He's trying to look out for people in Straightway. If there is indeed something sinister or insidious going on within the organization, and whether Pastor Dowell is kind of overstepping the authority that um, the Most High has given him, because he does have an authority over, of course, over his congregation, as well as in this truth as at large. He's, like I said, the work he has done is undeniable. That doesn't make him uncorrectable. He's not above reproach, and he's not above the law and all that. But um, he does have an authority. The thing is, you know, like I said, there are two sides to every story. Actually, there are three sides. There's one person, the other person, and then there's the Most High's. Most High sees all. So, you know, what all this he say, she say stuff really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because the Most High is going to judge us, and He is going to deal with us according to our fruits. Whether now, whether 10 years from now, not all judgment not all judgment is placed and executed immediately. The Most High can, he'll let you think that you're on top of the world, and just when you've jumped the shark, he'll push you down. So, um, I saw, I've seen a lot of the videos Ringo has done, the streams he's done, and I appreciate his his desire to want to help, especially a lot of the women in Straightway who he believes are being suppressed. He believes a lot of people in Straightway are being um, being muzzled, kind of spiritually muzzled. I want to say, not directly muzzled, but he believes like a lot of people in there are just yes men for Pastor Dowell, and that the only reason that they're not speaking up is because Pastor Dowell has this grip of control over them, which very well could be a possibility, but we don't know that to be true. That's just an assumption based on videos that he's seen and testimonies from other people. And there have been testimonies on both sides, and so we ought not to just try to paint Pastor Dowell to be some evil madman about this whole thing. It's possible he has made mistakes, as we all have in our lives. We don't know, but what I do know is that there are people at Straightway who felt that they did not want Pastor Rufus in the to serve in the capacity that he was. And I said he's been there 14 years, and he was given that part I agree with. Somebody gives you 14 years, and you're only giving them 30 days to basically kicking them to the curb in 30 days. I think there's a better way to handle that. But the decision itself to oust Pastor Dow or Pastor Rufus from Straightway, I can't speak on that. Is because there are people who agree with that decision, the people who wanted to see change. I'm not sure if all of them, if that's the exact change they wanted to see, but they did want to see change, and they did have concerns with Pastor Rufus. So we can throw all that out the door, you know. Um, and my message today is, because and I'm sorry to keep harping on Ringo, but Ringo has been, like I said, he's talked the most, he's done the most in terms of trying to get to the bottom of this. And he's done a lot of videos. He's done a lot of videos, and the videos have been long, like 6, 7 hours long, some of them. And I don't know. Pastor Dow feels like there's some kind of healthy obsession there. I don't know if there's an unhealthy obsession with him, or if it's Ringo's obsession with wanting to get to the bottom of the truth. I can't honestly. The lines have felt a little blurred to this point, so I don't know. What I will say though is that there are a lot of other people talking too, who I know for a fact are throwing stones in the glass house, and that have skeletons in their closet. And I'm not saying like I said, we have all made mistakes in our life, and when we come into the knowledge of the truth and the Most High, you know, it's expected that we, as long as we are in a repentant spirit and we're trying to repent and turn our lives around and do everything we can to change or make right, or at least, like I said, stay in that repentant state. We all have grace to get it right. No one is above or beneath that. And so But when you're throwing stones in glass houses and then you refuse to address your own lies and your own misdeeds and your own missteps, a lot of things that have not yet been resolved, I know for a fact. And I'm not going to go into what I'm talking about right now or who I'm talking about right now. But I think we all need to be careful about trying to cast judgment and doing the Most High's job. If Pastor Dow is in fact um, up to no good at Straightway, it will eventually show in its fruits. You know, thus far we haven't really seen it, but the Most High, His judgment, we don't know how He works and operates and thinks. I mean, the Most High can let he can judge you today for something, and you won't see the effects of it for another 10, 20 years. You know, and sometimes it's instant. We are in an age of instant karma. I've seen it with my own two eyes, but sometimes judgment doesn't take. Sometimes it doesn't come right away, and so like I said, eventually we know that, and we should know that whatever, if you're doing dirty, you can do whatever you want behind the scenes and hide it from the world and hide it from people. The Most High sees all, so if you've done dirty, it's gonna show eventually in one way or another in your life, and that's just how it works. So we don't need to go on this witch hunt um, for Pastor Dow, and I just think that we need to be more responsible in how we rightly divide the word of truth and how we deal with each other, because, like I said, there's been a lot that I've gone through over the past year and a half personally with people who I have commented on the situation, who are refusing to see the faults in their own ways and admit to their own misdeeds and their own mistakes, and trying to cast judgment. And maybe the Most High hasn't judged you yet for it, but the more you do this to Pastor Dow, the faster that judgment, the harder that judgment is going to be. So I just ask you to err on the side of caution and really do your due diligence. Speak to those who are directly involved with the situation and get every side of every story, because there were at least 5 people in that video at Straightway who were, you know, they were happy to see the change that Dow made and the new energy that he brought for Straightway, Georgia. And I can't deny that side of it either. And so, you know, I pray for everybody involved, Pastor Rufus, Pastor Dow, if you, if any of them see it, and they don't have to see it because my prayers are going to go up anyway, but I do pray for the entire situation. But I pray most of all that this will be a learning lesson for the nation. Um, and I just ask that we be not so hasty in our in these matters, in any matter, when it comes to judgment, because until the Most High brings us back into the land of our forefathers and reestablishes His kingdom, we're all gonna still be off. We're all gonna keep making mistakes. There's no handbook to tell us how to handle a lot of this stuff. Yeah, we have the Bible, and that's a great foundation, of course. And the Bible shows us how we ought to live, and the Bible shows us what's to come in this world, and it prophesies, and the Most High, He shows us exactly what's going on, and we can get a great understanding from that. But there's a difference between reading it and living through it, and we don't. This is our first time ever living through this kind of moment in all of our existence. Everybody, on this planet. So we have to have grace and we have to have patience, because there's no there's no blueprint to this. We're gonna make mistakes, and there's a lot more I could speak on. I think at this point I feel like I'm rambling. I don't want this video to get too long. And like I said, I don't want to. Not knowing all of the data, like I don't want to. I don't want to be consumed with this. But it is an important issue. I did want to speak on it because I do want to speak up for those who are being misrepresented and basically being witch hunted, and that includes Pastor Dow. Pastor Dow deserves a fair chance to address these issues, and he has in some respects. He's talked about it, and if he really wanted to, he could just shut everything out and not even respond. But he continues to respond here and there, and maybe perhaps not to the degree that others would like to see. You know, would like to see him go a little more in depth about certain things, but he has been transparent about a lot of things, about how Straightway runs its ministry and how, um, and then I want to speak on that too because going back to the thing about the Amish, you know, communal living is not bad. It's just as long as everybody has the thought that okay, because apparently I think people are giving them like 50% of their paycheck at least. Um, the idea is, everyone goes out, they do whatever they can to make money. They come back, they bring the money back to the big pot, and then whatever money they have left, they can use to feed their family or buy whatever they need to do what they need on their plot of land or whatever. Um, and that structure is, like I said, the Amish do it that way. There are a lot of African villages that operate that way. The old Western, wild Western gangs and camps, they would do it that way. Everybody, uh, whether you agree with the amount that people contribute, because like 50%, it is a lot. It sounds like a lot. But if that's what they agreed to and upon joining Straightway, then that's what they agreed to, and they had no problem with it because they decided to join. And so, whether you feel like 50% is too much, whether it should be 10%, 20%, whatever number you think it should be, whether you think it should be in place at all, the fact of the matter is, this construct was in place before they got there, and they agreed to operate under those conditions. And so, if they don't like it, either they shouldn't have joined in the first place, or they should make plans to get out of it. And I know it's sad because if people have given up everything and decided to go with Pastor Dowell and later decide that it's not for them, you know, I guess getting back on your feet and trying to establish um, your own thing again, that's a hard thing, man. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about this over the years, and that's why I've personally been hesitant to make any kind of move like that. And I always tell people I don't do jank. I need everything to be outlined, laid out. I need reassurances that I'm like you because I saw this kind of thing coming, not because clairvoyant. I'm not some kind of clairvoyant prophet or anything. Like I've heard testimonies from people who have done it, and it honestly more often than not it doesn't work out for the long haul. And so that's why for me, Straightway was always that outlier. Like wow, they're really doing it, and they're doing it seemingly the way that it's supposed to be done. Everybody seems happy. Everybody's contributed to the cause. You got the women working in the fields and to do the farming and the gardening, and the men are building the houses, and that's how it's supposed to be, you know. And honestly, in the kingdom to come, that's how it's going to be. There's money. Money is there is a biblical foundation for the existence of money, but only in a time when the nations around Israel required it to do business with them. And so there is a way to live as a society without money. It's just we have to be unselfish. We have to be, and it has to be completely rooted in love. And that's the problem right now in this world. There's not enough love. Um, and there's more hate than anything. There's more division. And to be honest, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't know when exactly that shift will take place, but it will happen. Most High said it will happen. It will happen. I know there is a future where we don't have to worry about money because as a people, we'll all collectively make sure that we're all fed, housed, clothed. There's more than enough room on this planet for everybody to prosper and to live and to do what we need to do. The resources on this planet are infinite, and I don't care what anybody says. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. The resources on this planet are infinite. So, um, yeah, like I said, I don't mind that construct of how they run Straightway. Personally, I decided not to join, and I decided not to pursue that because, one, because I don't really subscribe to a lot of the doctrinal beliefs that they have, and like I said, I was hesitant just because I know as a people we are still off, and we're going to be off until the Most High deals with us directly, and until that happens, I will not feel comfortable. I will not feel comfortable doing anything of the sort. Like I said, it has to be laid out very, very meticulously. I have to know and trust that the people who are involved, um, that they are people of strong character. And the other movement that I'm referring to be honest, there are a lot of things pending. I think that have not been addressed. A lot of skeletons in the closet, and as long as those people continue to deny, or I don't know if they're denying, but they're neglecting to come clean about it or address them, or I can't in good faith continue to support it. And so I love those people, and I wish them the best, and I do hope that everything works out. But personally, I'm gonna wait until the Most High gives me the clear sign that what He wants for us as a people, that He is going, and He said He will be the one to do all of this in His own way, and it's gonna be in a way that's undeniable to man, because it's gonna be unfathomable. I'm seeing this Amazon Prime check. My bad. I think my package just got here. So, like I said, I'm not gonna stay on here too long. Um, I just pray that everybody has more love and patience than we have had over the past in our lifetime, really, but especially in the Israelite community over these past few weeks. I hope we, and if nothing else, learn a lot from this. Making 6, 7 hour videos on Pastor Dowell every day is not going to produce the results, whatever they are, that you're expecting. I think everybody's looking for a train wreck, and I think a lot of people are waiting for that moment where they can rejoice and say, "Oh, yay, Straightway!" No, don't do that. That's the quickest way for you to get your judgment. If you think, like I said, the Most High can delay judgment, but if you want to speed it up, go ahead and rejoice over somebody's downfall. Go ahead, please do, because like I said, that's the quickest way to get caught up yourself. Whew, I hope this message has been edifying. I hope that people can understand where I'm coming from. I have no horse in this race, except anybody who knows me knows that it's all about truth. I hope that we just first, the truth is the only thing that matters. Truth and love and the Most High. That's all that matters to me. And so, um, I have no horse in the race. I'm going to continue to monitor the situation, but I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to let it rule my life, and I'm not going to be obsessed over it like some others are. So, with all that being said, it's Sunday, April 14th. I'm going to continue to enjoy my day, and I'll be back before you know it with another message whenever the Most High permits. Shalom.